Hello everyone, my name is Smart Chick Megan Orser and I'm the Director of Professional Development and CEO at Smart Apartment Solutions, as well as the Director of Property Management for Smart Moves LLC. And today we will be discussing face coverings and some guidance and hopefully a smart approach to help you manage this ever-changing landscape. So let's get started. So what will we cover today? Well, we'll start with the FHA and HUD's policies to give you kind of some concrete ideas of what they're suggesting in their guidance from end of July. We'll also show you some sample policies or procedures that you may be able to implement and adopt in your organization. We'll also show you some ideas of what we're doing and what other people might be doing. We'll give you some links for some awesome signage. We'll give you some ideas of how that should look, and then we will wrap up the session with some things to remember. All right. So we'll start right with the beginning of the Federal Fair Housing Administration and HUD's guidelines that they gave us back in, I believe, July 31st of this year. You can also follow these links if you want to reference this copy as well. And then I also included an additional link from the CDC. That's some very useful information as well. But you can find this in question 7, which I believe was on page 5 of this document. And the question was, are owners or agents of properties receiving project-based Section 8, Section 202, or Section 811 assistance allowed to require tenants to wear face coverings while at the assisted property and or treat a tenant or their failure to wear face coverings as a lease violation? It's a very important question. So the answer to that is owners and agents may amend their lease terms and or house rules in accordance with state law or local law and HUD requirements, which you can reference Chapter 6 of the HUD Handbook for guidance on lease amendments and house rules. And then the notice H12-22 Section 6-9 B1A of the handbook states that the house rules should be within the bounds of common sense and not excessive or extreme. The notice of H states that the owners and agents must notify existing tenants who have completed their initial lease term of modifications to the house rules 30 days prior to implementation. Tenants who have not yet completed their initial lease term must be notified 60 days prior to the end of their lease term. House rules pertaining to face coverings must be reasonable and consistent with state and local laws and directives from the public health offices. So you'll want to check with your local health offices as well. Changes to house rules may be sent to the local multifamily Office of Performance-Based Contract Administrators for review. And while neither HUD nor the PBCA approves house rules, they can advise you if any rules violate the HUD statutory, regulatory, or pragmatic requirements. Failure to comply with face covering requirements may be treated as a lease violation only if the house rules are reasonable and consistent with state and local laws and directives, and if the house rules are identified in the lease as an attachment to the lease agreement. So basically, yes, you can enforce it. You just have to give them notice. If they have already completed their first contract, well, then you can just give them a 30-day notice in writing. You could send it right to their door or in the mail, and then you can enforce it as follows. If they're not yet through their first lease term, then as it states here, you have to give them at least a 60-day notice to let them know of the following. You should still be posting signs on the door. You should still have communication on any amenities or any common or public areas, just reminding them. You want to dot your I's and cross your T's. But then you at least have some reinforcement in the lease if you have someone who is just not following the rules at all. So some sample policies and procedures. This was a great policy that I found online. I thought that it would be a great resource for you. I found this from the Small Business Association of Michigan. So some policies that you can adopt for Ohio or any region that you're in. I've got the language there, and we've also included this as well. So if you want to edit it to make it your own. There are definitely more resources on that website that I found, as well as a link I have here in yellow that talks about the coronavirus in Ohio and some of your specific rules that you'll have in the state of Ohio. And then there's also a link, or actually an image here, of a sign that you can utilize if you wanted to keep it branding with the Responsible Restart Ohio campaign. Totally your choice. So what are we doing? Well, on tours, we are definitely still doing self-guided tours where we're able to, walk them through over the phone or through a web portal if we're doing a live virtual tour. But we supply the face masks for them. We have them printed with our smart logo. We bagged them in snack bags, Ziploc bags, and then just put a label on them that said face mask. So we have them on the exterior of all of our show apartments, along with hand sanitizers, as well as rubber gloves and also some boot covers. So we kind of went overboard. You could at least just provide the face masks if you want, or at least just have the sign so that they can bring their own. That's how we're doing it currently in our showing setting. I covered that in self-guided tours previously. But then in our office, so when people are actually coming into our office to talk, we also have bagged face masks as well as a matching sign that talks about, in a nicer message that face covering are required to enter. So there was a cool website that I found from Zenefits that if you go to their Workist, powered by Zenefits, they had a ton of downloadable PDFs that you could customize or just simply print and put on your signage if you wanted. It had the 6 feet, please stay 6 feet apart. I liked this one that said no shirt, no shoes, no mask, no service. But you can scroll through that website. They have a ton of free resources. So you don't have to be, creative all on your own. You've got a lot of things going on. You can just simply follow this link on this website and then find something that works for you, put your logo on it, and you should be good to go. You're back in business. So some things to remember. You've got to remember to practice what you preach. If you have signs that say you have to have a mask on, then you have to have a mask on. It's something that you have to be diligent in following, and you have to make sure that you're wearing your mask right as well. So you could be wearing your mask but wearing it wrong. That is also going to add to the confusion. So you've got to be the leader and be the example that people can follow. Try to anticipate any pain points that you might find. So like we, put the masks outside of our show units, or we have them in our office right when you enter. So in a nice way, we're still saying that we require them, but we're giving them an opportunity. So if they forgot, they don't have to run back to their car or not do business with us. We have a workaround around that. We've removed a pain point, so there's less friction there. We like to also over communicate. So as people are making appointments or going to be coming into our office, we like to over communicate. We send them a calendar invite, or we have a log so that everybody is familiar in the office of who's coming in at what time. And we make sure also to communicate that even before they come, that we do require them to wear a face mask when they're going to be entering our building. So over communication is never going to hurt you, especially in this situation. And try to start and lead with kindness. You're going to be working with people that have different opinions on masks. We've seen that on the news. We've seen that in the media. This is not the place for the debate for it. We just simply have to follow the CDC and our local health department's guidelines, as well as with HUD or FHA. And so try to remember that with kindness. There will be people that will give you no problem, and then there will be people that give you a hard time. So just make sure that you're still trying to work with them in kindness. You be kind, and hopefully they will follow. And as I said, practice what you preach before, but ending that with being consistent. Be consistent on every property, every day, every single time, and you will get into the role, and it'll be like you've been doing it for your whole life. It'll become a new norm that we become used to. Well, that's all I have for you today. Thanks so much for watching.